There you go.
Lovely. So, what's up, beautiful people? Thank you again for joining us. We are the Inside Out Effect podcast.
Are we?
Yes, and today it is Sunday, the 31st of July, 2022. And today's topic is hedonism. And hedonism isn't just sex. That's what most people might think. But actually, hedonism is the art of seeking pleasure to avoid pain.
Which could be sex.
But actually, we're going to be covering a lot of issues tonight around hedonism and why actually it doesn't work for us. We'll be discussing it in detail. And there's many areas in life where this is common practice. We hedonize a lot. And in actual fact, it doesn't really work for us on any level and keeps us in perpetual pain and suffering. And it's also, believe it or not, how addictions are formed. So hedonism is how addictions are formed. But anyway, we will talk about that in a bit more detail. But before we start, as usual, I'd like to introduce my colleague, my friend, well, that's it.
What time's he getting here?
I don't know what time he's getting here, but he's arriving here shortly.
Okay.
But yes, so let's bring in Jonathan. So we'd like to introduce Jonathan. John, how are you doing, mate? Thanks again for joining us tonight. I will say that's probably the first time we've seen you in around about 6 weeks, isn't it? I'm not sure.
I don't know, it's been a while, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember last time we saw each other.
Yeah.
It's been that long. Have you missed me?
I have missed you.
You missed me.
Sort of.
Yes.
Yeah, I have missed you.
Yes.
But I've been busy, obviously, doing a 6-month epic.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, which has been good. But no, I've not seen you much. I think we did the last podcast 2 months ago. We was going to do this podcast about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you had a bit of an accident.
Well, yes. I didn't have an accident, but yes, I've had a bit of a stressful period of time.
Yeah, so we couldn't do that.
So I couldn't do anything for the last few weeks. That's why you haven't seen me.
Yeah.
So I've been super busy.
Super busy, busy.
But not necessarily work-wise, just dealing with life stuff.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Yeah, it was quite a severe incident. So
so nothing to do with me. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, I'm actually slightly injured today. So if you see me massaging my neck and shoulders because I'm injured.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't nothing to do with me. It was just a family member had a fall, so I've been looking after her.
Yeah, absolutely. So we postponed that until tonight, and obviously I've been busy.
Yes.
Very busy working with clients, doing my stuff, but I've also got my little boy over.
You have?
From Ireland.
Yes.
So should we bring him in?
Is he here?
He's here.
And tonight, Matthew.
So come on,
Mister. It should be Eamon Andrews, shouldn't it?
He wants to be on we promised him he won't be on the podcast. So this is my boy Robesy. Says hello, Robes.
Yellow.
Yeah. So you're here.
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah, he's here.
I didn't see him.
You, so
because he matches the wall, so he blends in, white on white.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a black cap, you wouldn't see him at all, would you?
No.
If you give him the white cap, you wouldn't see him at all. He'd just be a head floating.
I have a brown hair though, so.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be seen under the white cap. It blend into the wall.
Yeah.
So
that's
it.
quite true.
Yeah. So you're going to tell us about because I've only seen you for 5 days in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got here about 2 weeks ago? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So do you want to tell us about your journey?
Not the 2-year journey.
Not
That
the
mean your journey of trying to get to see your dad. We mean the journey coming over here.
Oh, you mean car journey?
The car journey, because you drove, didn't you?
I didn't drive.
Oh, you didn't drive?
I don't have my license yet.
You know what? So neither half the drivers out there. Don't worry about it. You could probably drive better than they could. But anyway, so you didn't actually drive yourself?
No.
No. Okay, but you did come in a car?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And how was that?
I didn't just come in a car. I came in a ferry as well.
You came in a ferry? You came in a ferry and a car? Well, there's a joke in there somewhere, but we won't go that way. There's a child present.
So you had a 2-hour ferry ride, didn't you? And then
it didn't even feel like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy the ferry ride?
It was stinky.
It was stinky. What, the ferry or the water? Or the people?
No, the gasoline, the smoke.
Gasoline was stinky.
There was smoke coming out. No, gasoline coming out the front. Because back in the day there were steamships instead of now it's all petrol and not really electric.
No.
So petrol is now used in ferries and cruise ships and
diesel.
so on.
Yeah,
diesel. All the gas fumes from the diesel came out from it, and the wind was blowing my direction. And I think you know what happened next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was stinky for my nose.
Yeah.
it went. Yeah.
So it was like 13 hours in the car.
Actually 11.
Oh, 11 hours.
No.
Isn't it? Make your mind up. What one is it?
10 because we spent 1 hour at a dino park in Scotland
Oh,
It's
okay.
not
and
argue
2
over an hour,
hours on a
children.
ferry. So
Ah, okay,
altogether
so-
that's 10 hours.
Ah,
10
okay.
hours, yes.
And because altogether the whole trip was 13 hours, but 1 hour at dino park equals
Technically,
12,
1 hour.
and take away 2 hours equals 10, so 10 hours.
Ah, okay, great. So yeah, and then we went away to the train museum, didn't we, this week?
Chugga chugga boo boo.
Yeah. And what's your favourite bit? You wanted to see the rocket, didn't you, and the mallard?
The mallard.
Yeah,
Yes.
you wanted
Yes.
to see that. That was one of his bucket list was wanting to see the mallard. And what's special about the mallard?
The fastest steam train in the world.
It's the fastest steam train in the world. You got your photograph with it?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
managed to stand next to it long enough for it.
Yeah.
I think I was the one moving
Were
before
you
it
moving
did.
really fast as well, like the Flash?
I think you
No.
confused him.
I confused him.
Yeah,
No,
confused him.
No.
Yeah.
My brain confuses it. I'm only 10.
Yeah.
Wait, that makes no sense.
No.
Yeah. So we went to York, didn't we? We went to York's Diagon Alley called the Shambles, where there's like Harry Potter thing and it's
You went diagonally?
Yeah, went diagonally.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Shambles.
we went diagonally.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Was that good? I love Harry Potter.
Yeah, so
Harry
do I.
Potter.
I've never seen the movie. I've only seen clips of the Hogwarts Express because I like steam trains.
Okay.
Diesels
In that case, you love the movie.
Aren't actually as nice looking, and electric aren't as nice looking. It's basically steam trains which look funky. Well, not really funky, but nice.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they are better than the environment. It's not smoke, it's steam.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
But
I'm making sure you get it.
I'm with you. I'm
Yes,
keeping
thank
up.
you. Thank you.
I'm
thank
keeping
you.
up. You mean it's
Yeah.
better than petrol or diesel?
Well,
Steam.
technically, petrol is bad for the environment, but steam
Let's
isn't
not get into
really.
that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That might confuse a few viewers, and I have my own opinions about that. But no, what? Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
I mean-
but you're on Steam, yeah?
Yeah.
You prefer Steam?
Yep, I prefer
Do you function on
steam.
Steam or petrol or
My friend Old Clucky does.
Old Clucky?
Yeah, Old Clucky.
Who's Old Clucky?
He's basically a hybrid between a human and a steam train.
Oh, wow.
He uses
I know a
logs
few
to
people like that.
move.
Got a bit abstract now.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yes.
Is this a real
He makes
person?
his own movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know he showed me on his movies. earlier.
I've been acting and using my imagination and making up friends and drawing and etc.
So you've been creating.
Yes, I've been creating characters over the years. And I think I've been doing it ever since I was 6 or 5 years old.
Did you
Wow.
create your dad? Because that would explain your
It
dad,
would
to be honest.
explain
That
me,
would
I
explain
think so,
him
yeah,
quite well.
absolutely.
Yes, I was a young boy. I was only 2 years old, and I got a piece of paper and a pencil and drew a little scribble with a hat on and a very tough voice and very technology, blah blah blah, etc. And well, I got a 3D printer.
Oh, that explains
Yeah.
quite a
And
bit.
I got the paper, scribbled it in a bowl, and shoved it in there. And then
And
I
out came
pressed
him.
it,
And that came me.
and it became this.
Yeah.
Wow, that explains quite a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went to York and then we went to Alton Towers, didn't we? And great, which was a bit disappointing actually, because well, we went there and we queued up, went on the main ride, which was called the
Nemesis?
no, what's the
Oh wait.
come on,
I forgot. I have very poor memory.
the Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man.
Yeah, it's the Wicker Man. Anyway, it's a really fast roller coaster, and it's like 1.2 meters. So we went on there. We went down to the next ride because we got in there really early because we were staying at the hotel. And so we went. There was about a half an hour queue for this ride. So we've got in and queued up all the way. Wait to get on. One of the guys pulled him over and said, "I need to measure him," and measured him. And I measured him using my hand. So I used my hand, and it was exactly the right height. So I said, "Okay, you can go on this." We queued up. As we got on, he's then pulled him up, got a set square, and he must have been about 3 centimeters underneath the line. He went, "No, you're not going on." I was like, "You're joking. We've just queued up all this time." So that basically eliminated all of the best rides for that period of time. So what we only could do was go on. There was certain rides that he could go on, but a lot of the big ones he couldn't go on, which was a bit disappointing. So we spent a day and a half in there and then spent the last afternoon in the water park, which was really great, wasn't it?
And my dad made a friendly friend, which is a friend of a friendly friend.
Yeah.
You made a friend of a friendly friend.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got chatting to this lady there and her daughter, and she's from Bromsgrove.
Oh, cool.
Her name was Jo. Very nice lady, actually.
Cool. Hey,
We
Jo,
exchanged
if you're
numbers,
watching,
and
yes.
yeah. So anyway, okay. Well, this is my son. He's going to shoot off now, and thanks for touring in. Thanks for telling us about your journey down here and all your stuff.
Yes.
Give me a high five.
We'll put the check in the post.
Yeah, it's a technical post
for your appearance.
Yes, thank you.
All right, cool. We'll see you in a little while.
Hong Kong. Wah, wah.
There you go. So that's
Don't forget to close the door quietly.
Yeah, quietly.
Quietly.
So there you go. So there's my little boy. I've got him over here for a month. I fly him back to Belfast on the 16th of August. So, that was a bit of a mission as well, trying to get the tickets booked because it's been a nightmare. But I actually managed to finally book them. I actually used to phone up and physically talk to a guy to book them. So I've had a bit of a nightmare trying to get flights back to Belfast.
Everyone's had a bit of a nightmare trying to get flights at the moment.
Oh, it was a nightmare. Anyway, I've got them sorted. I fly out in the morning from Stansted, and I fly back at 10 to 8 at night. So it's going to be a long old day, but you know, I say back on the 16th, and then back to the. Not having him here. It's nice having him here. It gives me somebody to talk to. It gives me somebody to do stuff with, go out, and that keeps me occupied. And that, but he's a great kid. So it's really nice. He's really nice. Yeah. Okay, cool. So how you been then, mate? Well, I mean, let's talk about you and what you've been up to. Obviously, I haven't seen you for about 4 or 5 weeks, or maybe 6, since the last podcast, really. So, and I know you've been doing a lot of stuff at home with the clinic, your place. So, furnish us with all your great, exciting details.
Well, no, I've been past few weeks. I've been busy looking after my mum because she had a fall. So I've been mainly busy with that rather than I've been doing my work in between. But actually, university is really good when you need work, it will provide it, and when you don't, when you need to do other things, it will remove some of it. So it's given me a little bit of a break so I could help my mum out. So I've not been doing lots of work, but a couple of things. One thing that interestingly came up, which also came up for you, was a client who got triggered by the sun.
Yes,
by the heat.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
by the sun.
Well, do you know who that client was?
No.
It was Ruben.
It was your son, exactly.
Yeah, and brilliantly, do you know what? He got triggered. It was really hot. We went out for a walk. It was only in the morning. Got triggered by the heat. And we was only out 20 minutes, and he started getting really tearful. He was really struggling. He goes, I want to go home. So he come home, went to bed for 2 hours. And obviously I worked out, as we was walking home, I worked out that he'd been triggered by something. And it was a memory from when he was 7 years old. And he was in Ireland, and he was playing with a friend, and he got heat stroke while he was out in Ireland, and the heat triggered the response to what happened when he was 7. So when he got up, bless him, and this is how great, my boy sat on the sofa and allowed me to switch off the whole memory, all of the images, the PTSD, and all the trauma of that event. And now he's absolutely fine. So, and he did it just epically. He was just like, it's that. DTO'd it. And then he's come out again. Brilliant. It's like magic. It's all gone away, Dad. I'm like, yes, clever, isn't it? Yeah, so he's now cleared of that. So which was great. So I healed my boy as well, which was great.
But it's a great example of how people think when they get ill and it's hot that it's the heat that's done it. And that's not always the case. To jump to that conclusion doesn't actually always solve the problem. Yeah. In the case of Ruben, it wasn't the heat doing it. It was triggering a memory. Yeah. And with my client, who didn't come to me for the problem, but she was asking me what it was because she does DTO herself now. And she came to me with something we've been working on. And she just said to me, I was really ill in the heat and stuff. And I knew it was triggering me, but couldn't work out why. And so I found it for basically it was triggering her because she felt powerless to cool down. Yeah. So because she felt powerless to cool down, started having a panic attack and things like that, it was just a powerless feeling because she was worried that she didn't have a fan, didn't have anything to cool her down, and what would happen if she couldn't cool down. So just that alone, in the case of Ruben, it was actually a memory that was being triggered. But in the case of my client, it was actually just a feeling of being powerless, and that triggered a conflict. So the reason I'm explaining this and I'm talking about this is because a lot of people think these things are normal to feel ill in the heat and things like that. And, they'll go, oh, you're just dehydrated. And in these 2 examples, that wasn't the case at all. And in a lot of people, it won't be the case. There will be something that's being triggered because everything is a trigger to people. I know I've said this before. We've said this before. Yeah. Everything can be a trigger, even positive things like the heat, the sun. And so just be mindful of that. If you've been ill in the heat or you've come over faint or whatever's happened, it's probably triggering a conflict for you. It's not actually the heat. Because whatever you believe in put us on this earth, I don't really believe they created the warmth and the heat and went, you know what, we'll create it really warm and hot, but it'll mess humans up. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really believe that's how it works. But a lot of people do, but that just keeps you stuck if you believe that. So don't buy into that. If it's
Insignificant.
and yes, exactly, yeah.
It keeps you
So it keeps you small,
just
keeps
a
you feeling
small
weak.
speck of irrelevant dust.
Yeah, it makes you feel weak as weak as well. Like you're weak, and like the sun. I mean, the sun should really be like Superman. It should kind of invigorate you and make you strong and powerful. I'm not saying the heat is not hot. It has been very hot, but it shouldn't be making you ill or sick. So if it is doing, there's a chance that there's a trigger there. Just in the same instance where rain or clouds creates that sad thing that they call sad,
Yeah, well,
which they've just labelled a response to the weather as sad. Well,
which is actually sad in its own
which
right.
is very sad in itself.
It's not actually the real cause of it.
So we'll call this happy.
Yeah.
We'll label it happy.
It's seasonal adjustment disorder.
Yes,
really,
exactly,
everything's a disorder when it comes to the old.
I know, yeah,
general anxiety disorder.
Yeah, it's all disorders.
It's all disorders. Yeah.
So, which actually technically means no order, but we'll stay away from that. So just be mindful that when it's hot and if the heat has made you ill, then chances are you're being triggered by either a past memory or just by a feeling that the heat's giving you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so absolutely right. So I just want to say hello to a few people. Usual viewers. So I want to say hello to Jane. Hello, Jane. Good evening to you both. Good evening to you. And thanks again for joining. You're always watching us.
Hi, Jane.
And I did actually get to meet Jane.
Oh, did you? When?
In the flesh.
In the flesh?
Yeah. So
what? She was naked?
Yeah.
Oh.
So on I think it was whatever day it was. A little while ago.
Whatever day it was, a little while ago.
The 12th.
I love how descriptive you are with things. When you describe things, whenever it was, a little while ago.
So articulate.
Yeah.
So I got invited to do a talk in Southend.
Oh, right. Yes. You haven't asked you about that. How did that go?
It went really, really well. Thank you
Did it
very
go
much.
really, really well?
Yeah. Because I got invited to go down there. I did my video and talked about the mind, the brain, what causes sickness, illnesses. Had a great talk about viruses. That was great. Everyone was all on board with it.
Well, that's brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Big frying your brains.
No, they were like, yeah. So when I explained what causes and how it works, they were like, oh my God, wow. But then I talked about, it was really good actually. A lot of people there all just like,
No one had monkeypox.
No one had monkeypox.
That's good.
But anyway, so I did that. I talked about brain, and I actually did a live DTO on somebody. So I pulled.
You did it on a live person, not a dead person.
I did a live person.
That always works.
I DTO'd a dead person back to life.
If you did that, that'd be amazing. Bring someone back to life.
I know I'm good, but that was
DTO is really more powerful than I thought. Bloody yeah.
I know. That's how good I'm getting now.
Yeah,
I'm bringing them out from the dead.
But you have to create a new level just for you to bring people back from the dead. It'd be like what?
I know.
Yeah.
They've tried to hire me down the local mall. But, but I'm busy. So there was a lady there who had a big conflict running because I was explaining how it works and how you switch off stuff and where it's all caused, like I do in the video. And she goes, well, how then? How does it work? How does it do it? Because everyone wants to know how.
Yeah, how does it work?
How does it work?
That's what they always say. How does it work?
Well, how do you do that then? How does it work? And I'm like, well, I've just explained to you. You go to response. Yeah, but how do you switch it off? I'm like, okay. So and this woman, she was really at it all. She was like one of these people that went, yeah, but what about this thing? Well, I've got that. And what about that then? The whole time, all the way through. Bless her. So anyway, I got to the end and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to just demonstrate it. So she had an incident with a friend. And literally deleted the whole thing in 4 minutes. And she sat there and she went, oh, right, it was really good. But I met Jane. Jane was there. Jane turned up to the event.
Excellent, good.
I've not met Jane, and I did on that night. So it was a really, really good. It was a really good talk, and it was nice to meet Jane. Yeah, and it was really successful. They want me to go back and do a law of attraction talk down there as well. So maybe I'm going to speak to them in the future about it. But yeah, that was on July the 12th. I was expecting to see loads of people from Chelmsford down there supporting me, learning all about how they can make their life better. But we have 2 people that I knew.
Okay, well that's okay. You get the South End crowd.
Yeah, well, Bobby turned up and filmed it.
So, brilliant, fantastic.
So I haven't seen that yet.
Okay, good.
So it was a really good talk.
Yeah,
and and a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, wow!" You know. Yeah. So that was how I met Jane. So hello, Jane. Also, I just want to say a big hello to Bobby. Obviously, he was always watching. And Jenny's also said, hi, welcome back. Yes, it's been 2 months. I've been busy, working really hard. been restructuring my business and doing a lot of work on myself. I've also picked my boy, been doing talks and did the law of attraction talk, plus I did the talk on the mind and how the brain works, and also John's been a little bit well, you've had your own stuff going on, haven't you? You've been redoing the clinic and his issue with his mum, and
mainly life stuff I've been busy with. Not mainly life stuff.
Mainly life stuff. So and I was actually going to not do it and wait until Ruby had gone back, but I thought it'd be a good time for some reason I felt right to do it, and so that's what we're doing. We thought we'd do that today because, you know, hedonism is a big issue, and as I've been doing a lot of work with people, I'm finding it more and more prolific in people is that people are constantly seeking pleasure to avoid pain, and you know, and which we'll come on to. I mean, I was epically doing that for most of my life until I learned that actually that doesn't work. And actually that's how addictions are formed as well. You know, we form addictions by doing that because our subconscious and our unconscious gets attached to the feel good factor, and it learns, oh, when this happens, then I do that. Oh, when this happens, and when it happens again, I'll go, well, I did that last time. And then it will just be like cause and effect. So that's what happens. We actually form addictions by having something and then running away to avoiding the pain to feel good. And then we keep doing that over and over and over again because it gives us a sense of relief. And that's how addictions are formed. Yes. Some people do it through drink. Some people do it through sex. Some people do it through people do it food. Yes, but there's drugs. Yeah, but then there's other people that also do it because it's good to have a positive addiction. Have a positive addiction like exercise or walking with nature or you know, eating healthy food or all that stuff, meditation stuff. So they're both sides of the pendulum, but neither of them actually work.
Even you can get addicted to clearing things, even clearing stuff.
I know
like what we do, you can become addicted to that if you're not careful. It can be if you don't monitor it and just do it on a regular basis. If you do it too much, it can be very addictive because you feel so good from it.
Yeah,
you want to keep.
Which is what happened to me in the last 6 months.
It can do.
It really did.
Although you were going through a deep healing, so I will say not many people. If you've got deep stuff to clear, then you want to clear it, which is great. But I went to a phase like that where I was addicted to clearing. I wasn't actually living, so I was then just finding things to clear, which just weren't there. So you can be addicted to anything. That's not that, so it doesn't matter what it is, just like you'd be triggered by anything. So just be mindful that if the good thing whatever you're doing that makes you feel good is not taking you away or trying to distract you from the negative, because the problem with that is the negative will always come back and bite you in the arse.
Yes. Well, the pendulum will come swinging back always.
Yeah, they will just swing back at you. So at some point the negative is going to creep back in and just hit you up the arse, and then you're going to struggle with that.
And that's what I had to deal with. I mean, because what I've dealt with is massive heartbreak from yesteryear. Yeah, and I didn't realise how much because when it happened, you just you think, oh, we'll just get on with it, man on, move on, plenty more fish in the sea, blah 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 blah. We have all these cliches, all these words, and you just have to. But unfortunately, that really hit me hard at the time, and I didn't realise until now where I've had so much stuff going on in my life, and I've actually had to go back and heal all of the stuff from my last businesses, people that screwed me over, all the rest of that. Go back. As I've gone back, I've now hit this event, and that was the biggest thing that happened to me, and I've worked really, really hard to heal it, and I still haven't actually completely 100% resolved it.
Well, that was your flashpoint.
Yeah. So we all have them. That was at one point in your life which it sort of really hit me hard. I was only 20, 21, and I've been struggling with. I wouldn't say I've been struggling with life ever since, but that event has been the catalyst of why everything sort of went wrong for me from that point. And you don't realise that how one event or how one person can so change your whole life, and it's because all your decisions, behaviours were built from that event, and I've tried to compensate for that, and always I blamed myself, but actually it didn't really work. So it can it was getting quite addictive, because obviously knowing what I know and the pain, the real deep pain that I was in from it, and knowing what I know, I needed to heal that, because like I say to people, if you get stabbed in the side, you don't go pretend that wound isn't there. You go to the hospital and you get the wound removed. And it's the same with everything in our life, whether it's a heartbreak or whether it's a depression or an anxiety or a fear or a relationship breakup or an abuse, whatever. If you don't go and actually go in and actually heal it internally, it's like walking around with a knife and you're just managing that pain and the blood's. You wouldn't do that in everyday life. You'd go to the hospital, you get it removed and you get it healed. We tend to do that for physical stuff, but we won't do that for our mental and emotional stuff. And we just carry on and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse over time because those actually dictate who we become and how we behave in the future.
But when we spoke about it earlier on, what we said was that, you know, with a knife, people know that you can go to hospital, have the knife removed, and touch wood, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But people don't know. Oh, he's going to turn the light on.
There you go.
Oh, I feel good now.
Yeah, a bit dark.
People don't know that you can remove those negative traumas. Even though you say it to them, they have no frame of reference for it because it's not in the mainstream. You know, you see people recovering from knife wounds in TV shows. You see people having wounds healed and things in TV, in real life. It's everywhere. But you don't see people healing of trauma. When people are in the media or TV shows, they're always traumatized. They never heal it. They never come onto the show and go, oh my God, I went to this amazing practitioner and I've got rid of my trauma. I've never seen that once in a TV show. You watch any soap, Coronation Street, EastEnders, whatever it is.
It's all victim.
They're always complete victims. They're traumatized. Yeah. They feel guilty. They feel ashamed. They never heal it. And then you see it reoccur in the actual soap opera. So they're acting out the way people really do live their lives, but they never show you can recover. And when they do recover, let's say an alcoholic recovers in a soap, they always fall back off the wagon because they never healed it. They just try to move on from it. I've never seen anyone come onto a TV show and go, I've healed all my trauma and I feel amazing and I did this amazing technique. They tend to mock therapy like that in the media and in news or in TV shows. So people are just they can't grasp. That's why people ask, well, how do you do it? How? Because they can't grasp being able to let something go. I worked with a client recently and she's done all these therapies and she's a medium or something and she's still carrying all this trauma. And so we've done a few sessions and she's let go of some of the trauma that she's had counselling for.
Yeah.
And it hasn't, but she still couldn't comprehend this idea that she could let this go until we did some DTO with her. Because she was still clinging to it because of her belief systems are in the way. So I just think the main problem is that people just can't comprehend. And the people who do let it go, they all want to heal it. They've sort of let go of that belief and they're open to the concept that they might be able to. Yeah. That it's possible. But some people just skip over that and go, well, I can't do anything about it, so I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is that we've got there's such a stigma about people have got to be so 100% perfect, and if you've got one slightly little thing wrong, you're in complete denial. And the issue that I have is that, you know, it comes to a point where I go, do you know what, actually, like I said in the past, I've got it wrong. And I weren't ashamed to say, do you know what, this has happened in my life, this has happened in my life, this has happened in my life, and it's affected me. That allowed me to become aware of it, identify it, find a solution, heal it. Now it's no longer a problem, and I'm growing every time, and my life's becoming better and better by the week. But if you're one of these people that actually will just are too ashamed to admit that you got upset with a relationship with a breakup, or you're too ashamed to admit that you're in a relationship that's abusive, or if you're feel too ashamed of admitting that there's something that's happened in your life and it's affecting you, the problem is that you're stuck in that forever, and it will keep you exactly in the same place indefinitely, and it will just get worse and worse and worse and worse over time. Your life will never generally get better unless some magical thing happens. But generally, 99% of the time, it will just get worse because that thing is in you. It's in your hard drive. It becomes part of your identity, and you are carrying that wound for the rest of your life. And there's such a stigma now to think that actually that for some reason it's sort of like it's a trophy. It's a trophy to go through life, have as much shit at you, and be able to deal with it. Right? Oh, just get on with it and just deal with it, and being hard. Actually, that's the most stupidest, pathetic thing ever, because it's going to make you sick. It's going to make you ill. And for some reason, being a martyr and being really strong and I've had all this stuff happen to me and I just get on with it. Well, unfortunately, that is completely and utterly 100% the wrong way of going about life, because it will actually come and bite you in the arse. It will turn you into not a very nice person. It will probably make you into bleeding angry. It will either make you bitter. It will make you feel like short-tempered. You'll have road rage. You'll end up sitting on the sofa. You're probably drinking a bottle of wine every night. You're bragging about how much you're gambling. You're bragging about how much money you've lost at the casino, how much coke you've done, how much pot you're smoking. But that's all right, because I'm dealing with my stuff. And people think that hedonizing is dealing with their stuff. It's not actually. It's just carrying loads and loads and loads and loads of wounds around and going, look at me, aren't I good? Look how brave I am. I've got all these wounds.
People identify with they.
Well, that's the point. That is the whole point I'm making, John, and it doesn't work.
And my client actually recently, who came to me, we're clearing something. We got to this issue that she, ironically, she has with her sister. So her sister is depressed and all this, and her sister sort of identifies with her trauma and thinks it's making her stronger, and it just gets on my client's nerves.
Yeah.
But my client didn't realize in some small way she was also doing that, which is why it was getting on her nerves.
Yeah.
And although technically what my client's been through is probably more traumatic than her sister, and my client's healing, there was the part of the reason she wasn't totally letting it go was because she was identifying with it, and when someone would she'd be confronted with someone who'd tell them what's happened to them, in her head she'd be like, well, yes, but this has happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's like a badge of honor for her.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what I was saying just a minute ago.
Exactly.
It's exactly what I'm saying.
But
I've had that and I got through it, so you should be able to do it. But you haven't got over it. You haven't actually dealt with it.
But she didn't realize she was doing it. She was moaning about her sister doing it until I pointed that out.
Yeah.
And I actually had to do a little bit of tapping. She needed a reframe for it so that she could see it. And once she did, then that was the final piece of letting something go.
Yeah.
Because she was just as you said, identifying and making a badge of honor. So it happens a lot.
Look how much stuff I can cope with and manage with.
Exactly. Because we're taught that in life, aren't we? Be stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
Be strong.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It makes it who you are, and unfortunately, it doesn't make it who you are. It's not.
It actually makes you into somebody that you're not, and makes you into somebody that's actually not very. I wouldn't say very nice, because that's not exactly true, but it can make you quite an unsavory person. Because if you've got all of that stuff that happens into your life, you're going to have a lot of resentment. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I don't have that resentment anymore.
No.
And why? Because I went back and put my hands up and said, this is all this stuff that's happened. And I went and cleared it and healed it. But the thing is that all the time you're holding on to all of that trauma and putting stuff in boxes and all the rest of it, it is that stuff that actually makes us sick. It makes us sick. It will make you ill. This is what makes us sick. So there isn't, our genes and all of a sudden, it's just my age. It's all nonsense. It's all of the stuff that we've got stored, and each psychological conflict relates to a part of your body, an organ in your body, and so your body then reacts in a certain way. So if you've got like a shoebox full of 50 knives of all your stuff in the past, and you're holding on to that, being a martyr and keeping hold of those things, you can guarantee that at some point that's going to come and get you in the past. And the other thing as well is that I hear people say to me, yeah, but having all of that stuff means that I'm learning. It means having all this stuff means that I'm smart, and I now learn from it. I can use that as all my past stuff. I can use that in the future. Right, which is complete nonsense, because all you're actually doing is holding on to all of the pain and the suffering and all the bad experiences, thinking that somehow holding on to all of that stuff gives you some education or some knowledge in the future. But it doesn't.
I'll give you an example so you understand what we mean.
It really doesn't.
So if you have a trauma where someone you trusted then apparently betrays you, you then have a learning from that scenario. If you hold on to the emotion that they've betrayed you and you can't trust people. So you'll now carry that through life, believing you can't trust people and they betray you. And that's what will keep happening to you.
Yeah.
And that is now your learning. That's not a learning. That's a fight and flight state.
Yeah.
That one person initially did it to you. Okay, let's say they did. Yeah. But you've made that about you. Rather than going, oh, what a shame they did that. I'll move on with my life. You've made it about you. So now it keeps happening. If you could actually genuinely let that go, you would have found that your life would have been completely different and people wouldn't have betrayed you and not trusted. Because...
Well, unfortunately, when you have that as a stored procedure, let's call it that,
stored procedure.
Yeah. So if you've got that stored in your mind, in your subconscious, in your hard drive, what's going to happen is every time you get into a relationship or have that, your unconsciously will behave in a way to force that person to betray you.
Yes.
Your behaviors will actually make that happen. No matter how hard you try to prevent it from happening, it will happen. And this is why we get repeated patterns in life.
But that's your learning from that trauma. You haven't learned anything positive. You've learned something negative. So be mindful of that, because people, as Steve said, people say, oh, well, I'm learning from it. No, you're not. You can't learn from a fight and flight state.
Yeah.
It's impossible. All you're going to learn from fight and flight is that you're in danger, you're not safe, you're vulnerable.
Run, freeze, get away.
Yeah, that's all you're going to learn. That's not a learning. You don't get the real learning and the real truth until you remove the fight and flight state. And that's what I say to everybody. You can't learn from something when you're in fight and flight. It's a false learning. That is designed to get you out of danger. But if the danger's not present anymore, you don't need it. So just be mindful. I had a client like that recently, and he didn't want to let it go. He wanted to hang on to it and if they want to hang on to it, there's not a lot you can really do. He was stuck in lots of ways, bless him. He was only 14. He was a really good kid, but he just was so stuck he didn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
But there are conflicts in our brain that seem so real. Somebody I spoke to recently, she had a real conflict in her brain. She had a very severe trauma in her life, and she'd made up something about her about the situation that in her head was protecting her. It was now causing her lots of pain.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't let it. She wasn't prepared to deal with it, because it become if she couldn't accept what happened. So she made up a belief, so she didn't have to accept what happened, and the lack of acceptance of what happened to her, because she was not accepting it happened to her. She got a belief that said it didn't happen to me. It wasn't me. And she made up a belief about it. And that lack of acceptance is now causing a lot of her pain, but she's just not ready to go there. And I can understand in that scenario, that's a big conflict. And, I get how the mind is working. And so she's not ready. But another one of my clients, she's been running a conflict for a long time, and she's just literally she's resisted the micro belief for a long time, the I'm statement. And you say people don't want to go to guilt and shame, but sometimes there's a response in our system that we don't want to admit, because we think it's real. We think it's who we actually are deep down. Some people believe that they're evil, so they believe the micro believes I'm evil. Some people believe they're selfish. Some people believe that they're bad or wrong. And
I'm a bad person. I'm a bad mum.
Yeah, that's right.
So get a lot of that.
So you've got that belief somewhere from a trauma or a set of events, maybe decisions that you made that have come out of your system, and you're now believing that. And sometimes people don't want to go to that because they don't want to admit that that's true. But here's the thing, and this is just logic, that's not true. That belief you have, that I'm statement, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm selfish, is born out of a set of memories where you made decisions or things happened, but it's not who you are. It's just what you've made about you. And if you let that go, if you can switch that off, if you can go to it without making it about you and switch it off, then not only will that trauma go, but you'll make better decisions in the future. Whereas by holding it, you'll just keep making the same mistakes. And one of my clients has just got to that point where she's finally acknowledging, she's not admitting, she's acknowledging those thoughts in the brain. It's not admitting that you're selfish or you're bad or you're wrong. It's acknowledging that is in your brain somewhere. And if you switch it off, you will stop acting and behaving that way. It's the lack of acknowledgement. But it's very hard, though. I get it.
It is, especially when if you've had it for a long time. So I just want to touch on a friend of mine reached out to me just before Ruben got here, and they has a friend in Suffolk, in North Suffolk. So he picked me up on the Wednesday evening. We just drove an hour and a half to this lovely house, really lovely house in Suffolk. And I went in, and she's got a 19-year-old daughter who basically has, since the age of 8, been really housebound and really struggled. She can't go out of the house. She can't even leave the grounds of the home. And she's had, I don't know, a multitude of different therapists who, in my opinion, are alleged experts, have really made it worse. Great. They've completely made her worse. So
how do they do that?
Well, by getting her to believe that it's all to do with her parents,
Right.
And that she needs to somehow, when her panic attacks come and when her anxiety attacks come, that it's who she is, and she's going to need to learn to live with it and how to cope with the panic attack when it comes.
Right.
Which is evil. So anyway, my friend told him, his mate, about me. And obviously he's reached out to me. I told him what to do. He went, get up here now. So anyway, like I said, he picked me up. We drove an hour and a half to Suffolk. It took me about, I got there, bless her, she was an absolute mess. She was shaking. She was fiddling with her hair. And the problem is that where she had this event happen, so I'll just tell you what happened. They went on a holiday in the mountains in Africa. And as they were up there was a rock fall. So there was a massive landslide and a rock fall. She was only 8.
Oh, it's going back quite a way.
She was 8. And in that moment, she thought she was going to obviously scare the living hell out of her. I thought she was going to die. Now, prior to that, she was like a top slalom skier.
Wow.
Right. And then all of a sudden, from that point,
yeah,
her life just ended.
Yeah,
pretty much. And she just progressively got worse. And now, basically, because from an 8-year-old perspective, that she had this fear of death happen, that then over time has created all of these panic attacks. And she's actually running a huge fear of death plus an anxiety feeling attacked by the environment.
Yeah.
So as soon as she goes out the house, the whole world is scary and it's triggering her panic attack. So she can't go outside. She can't leave the grounds. She can't really get out to schools or whatever. And even when she did go, she get triggered in the environment, and then she just couldn't even go to school.
Yeah.
And so it's probably the most difficult person I've had to work with, because she's had that from 8. And because she's had it from 8, and it's at that age where she's still in her subconscious, she has now believed that's exactly who she is. So she's had it for so long. I think she's 19 now. She's had it for 11 years. She's had it for so long that she's so intelligent as well. I mean, absolutely super intelligent. But the problem is that she's outsmarted all of the other therapists, because she said, well, what you're doing doesn't work, and it doesn't work. And so she ended up, like, apparently I spoke to her mum, and she ended up doing therapy on the people that had the therapy and working out their problems.
Yeah.
So when I was there, she was like really concerned about, because she thinks it's who she is.
Yes.
She was worried about actually change. She thought I was going to change the person who she is. So she wanted to get better. She wanted to get rid of the fear of the death. She wanted to get rid of the anxiety and the panic attacks, to switch off the panic attacks. But what she was worried about was, actually, if I get rid of that, is it going to change her as a person?
Yeah.
And she wasn't ready to change as a person. And it took me about 50 minutes of just talking to her, just gently. I mean, she was playing with her hair. She had her head down. But I coached her for about 50 minutes. And then I said, we're going to do this. And she's like, yeah. And as soon as she said, yeah, I got her trust. And then I started doing it. And then over the last 3 weeks, I've been able to switch off a lot of the fear of death, the PTSD images from the rock fall. I've been able to get rid of, tone down a lot of the anxious response, the fight and flight responses that she's had from that memory, and all of the others since. But the issue that we've got is that it's so ingrained in her as being such a young child, that actually that emotional state, those panic attacks, that fear of death is like who she thinks she actually is. It's become part of her, who she actually really is. And to not have that is actually is so frightening for her, because actually, well, I don't know who I am without that. And that's a big problem. And it's the same for most people, is that if you've had something happening for so long, you actually don't know who you're going to be when you haven't got it. So what you want to do is bet the devil you know, I'll keep this, even though it doesn't work for you, and it probably causing you loads of problems and making you behave in a certain way, or acting with your partner a different way, or attracting the wrong partner, or having no self-esteem, having low self-worth, making wrong decisions, bad decisions, feeling guilty all the time, having to people please, going through ups and downs for your life. All of these experiences that we have in our life are all based on stored information from past events, which we identify as who we are. Now, unfortunately, the current model that we have out there of therapy and mental health and all this, let's talk about it, is so far off the mark and incorrect, because we have people that want to talk about it, that have had anxiety, depression, or whatever, and they've had it for 10 and 15 years, and they're an expert in talking about it. Well, they're not really an expert in anything. They're expert in actually feeling depressed and how it feels and how they manage to cope with it. what actually would be the most important thing is to do is actually find out what caused that depression in the first place, get rid of the cause, and then they're no longer depressed.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, like especially with this girl, she's had all these other therapists and a lot because she's been a real problem. And it's 11 years.
Yeah.
All of these therapists using that model have actually made her worse. And I also will say as well that when I went out looking initially, this is when I had my business, I went out looking for trying to just change some stuff because obviously I've had a horrendous blah blah blah, but and I was looking, but I also found that the methods that I used actually made it worse. I believe that by talking about it, well actually because I'm actually doing counselling and because I'm doing something about it, I believe that actually I was doing something and I was doing something proactive and it was going to get better. But what happened was it didn't. It didn't get better, and what happened is I had another crash a year later, which put me well over the edge. And it didn't matter how much work I'd done prior to that; it just killed me. And like, fortunately enough, I bumped into you, and I'd learned all of the stuff about the mind and all the rest of it, which was a big help. But it still didn't mean. The problem was, is even though I knew all this knowledge about the brain, the mind, emotions, neuroscience, how it all works, I was still carrying all of the pain, the suffering, the guilt. So the knowledge and the information and watching all the videos, learning that stuff didn't really help at all.
No.
It just basically kept me really, really intelligent with loads and loads of stuff running and loads of pain and suffering and hurt and all the stuff in the past. So
see, the other problem is because she's super intelligent.
She's really smart.
We often find super intelligent people are more stuck because they've tried to understand their problem. And by understanding the problem, they've just made stuff up in their head. Stuff up. And that, like this kid that I treated, he'd made so much stuff up in his head. None of it was real. He didn't really understand. When he would say things to me and I'd repeat it back, he'd be like, "That's not what I said," because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
He heard it differently when he said it out loud.
Yeah.
Even though I said the exact same language back to him, what he said to me, it didn't make sense once he heard it back because what was in his head was nonsense. Now, sadly, he wasn't really willing to let that go, which is a good job that she is. But intelligent people, that's why I'm not intelligent. Intelligent people, really super smart, they make so much crap up. So the more you overthink something and the more you analyze it and the more you try to understand, the more beliefs you're putting in your brain. The more
shit you make up and store information, it's completely irrelevant to actually the problem.
And that can also be a bit of hedonism, trying to understand something because it makes you feel better if you understand it.
Yeah.
Can be hedonism again, but that leads straight back because sometimes people think understanding gives them that power, that strength because they understand it.
Or it means they can control, it means they can control the outcome or control the situation or prevent past things from happening again. Yeah. Or it gives them a sense of stability because now I understand it, I can make proper decisions.
Yeah.
But actually, it's all from a false premise.
But the problem with that is that I had this conversation. You have to, with trauma, you can't understand trauma.
Yeah.
Okay, you just can't. So it's a fight and flight. You can't understand it. But with illness and disease, people try and understand that, but they understand it wrong because
from the symptom.
From the symptom. So if you take anxiety, people try and fix anxiety from the anxious feeling, but you have to fix anxiety from the feeling powerless or attacked. The anxious feeling, the cause of it. So unless you know that real cause, you are not going to be able to solve it because you're understanding it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with some understandings.
Yeah.
So I've had clients be told, you need to
drink water or eat healthy or stop drinking. I got a client who said to me, "Oh no, I can't." Now bearing in mind, this is how people. So I've been working with this person for a long time. She knows everything. I've taught her all of the stuff and how it works, the brain, what cause and effect. So I said to her, she came around here. I said, "Do you know what? I'm making a coffee. Do you want a cup of coffee?" She sat here and said, No, I better not have a cup of coffee. It makes me anxious. And I looked at her and I said, "Do you hear what you just said then?" She goes, "Well, I was told that caffeine makes it." I'm like, I was like, I nearly said her name. I said, "Right, seriously, of everything you know, and we are working on anxiety. What causes anxiety? It's an event where you feel attacked and powerless. It's not what you eat. It's not what you drink. So, and this is the thing. If what you've got wasn't caused by something you put in your mouth, putting something in your mouth isn't going to fix it.
No.
Right? This is the big thing that we've got. So, honestly, it drives me. Honestly, I find it so frustrating because obviously I want people to get better, but they'll just constantly, as soon as something happens, open their mouth and in it goes. It'll be a tablet, it'll be a vitamin, it will be a bleeding nuts, it will be a avocado or whatever. I don't know. It just, but the thing is, or they drink water or blow in a bag and and all that stuff and manage it and go for a run, let go, exercise. I'm like, no, seriously, if you've got anxiety, it's because there's an event in your life that made you feel attacked and powerless. Go to the event, switch off the attacked and powerless responses, the fight and flight responses, your anxiety goes, it's gone permanently, it never comes back to that event. No. Don't start trying to go for a run and start, drinking distilled water and, meditating. Because it ain't going to work. It means you've just still got the problem. So it's just, I find it fascinating. But she actually knows what we do. But she still said, I can't do comic because I get anxious.
I see all the time. I see colleagues doing the same thing. Therapists, they don't get me wrong. I am not perfect by any stretch of imagination. My girlfriend will tell you that. But and when I say my girlfriend, I don't mean him. I do actually have a real life girlfriend.
Easy, Tiger.
I do have an actual girlfriend. She is real. For those of you who wrote in last time and said, "Who is this imaginary person?" But
I might not have a girlfriend. I've got a few on the go at the moment, mate.
Yeah, you've got a few on the go. I was saying you're not my girlfriend.
Yes, that's right.
I was making that clear because people think that we are a couple.
About time. It'll take 5 years.
About time people think we're a couple. No, I don't think so.
No, well,
for you to meet
a couple of tossers, maybe.
Well, maybe. but what's the point I was making? I forgot now.
I don't know.
No, so people that I know, colleagues and things.
You always have to drop your missus in at some point in the podcast. Every week you just have to go, oh, yeah, your missus. Emmeline's always doing it. I don't know what it is.
I like talking about her.
I know.
So,
on the podcast?
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're really pleased,
a lot of my colleagues, they know this stuff, but they still don't totally apply it in their life. Same as law of attraction, things like that. Like I say, no one's perfect. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm not saying you should be perfect. We'll have problems. I get that. We're all growing, we're all learning, we're all healing. Totally understand that. But it is frustrating sometimes to see people who say one thing and then do something else. Or their actions contradict what they believe. And sometimes people don't realize that. I mean, I had... a
bit like my post I wrote earlier on, my 10 golden rules for living a great and happy life. All 10 behaviours that I see a lot of people doing every day. We're not doing all of them. They're either doing 6 or 8 or whatever. There's and until you recognise that you're doing that, you'll keep on doing it, and it makes the world. It will have an effect on your children. It makes your social life. Doesn't really make the world. It doesn't actually make the world a better place or a happier place to live. So I just thought, we are all doing those things.
But we all do it to some degree, and the more you heal yourself, you do it to a lesser degree. And but it is funny to watch. I've been in conversation where I've listened to colleagues. I tend not to say anything. I listen, but
I can't help myself, mate.
I know you can't. I used to, but I got over. For the most part, I've got over that. But
the only reason is because if somebody's sitting there talking absolute codswallop and it's going to keep them in a pain and suffering and go, right, I'm sorry, but you're talking absolute. Why don't you just do that and that and that? And I point it out to them. So.
And I used to do that. I don't really offer advice unless someone asks me these days. Because I remember I was in conversation with one of my family.
Yeah, but that means that then people will go and ask advice which is another one, which was number 10 on the list. Stop asking advice from people who don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, I know, but they're all the time.
Why would you go and ask for health advice from somebody that's unhealthy? Why would you go and ask for relationship advice from somebody that's in a toxic relationship? They don't talk to their husband. They're sleeping in separate rooms. The kids are a mess. Do you know what I mean? And they've had 3 divorces, and you're going to them and asking, well, I don't know what I should do with Dave or to Sheila. Why would you do that?
I know. I was saying.
So the point I'm making is that because I know that, surely by me giving that the right advice would be the best thing to do in that situation. It's up to them whether they take it on board or not.
Yes. I used to personally find if they didn't listen, it would frustrate me. So I switched that off, and then when I
must frustrate you a lot then.
When I switched that off, I realised that really me trying to tell them something, unless they actually asked me, that was more about me. I still fall into that trap every now and again. So I like to help people. I want to know.
Yeah, I do.
But I had a client come to me recently, and this it sort of made me smile. So she was a new client, hadn't seen her yet, and she just messaged me before the session and asked me a question. So she asked me this question. So she did actually ask my advice, and
I'm sorry. You say, sorry, I'm not going to answer that.
No, because she actually asked. If someone asks me, that's fine. Exactly. But if they don't ask me, they're just ranting. I'm not going to try to give them an answer. They're not, it just is a waste of energy. So if someone actually asks me, they want my opinion, they're more inclined to accept it. But in this case, because she's really stuck, she asked me my opinion about something. I told her what I tell everyone who comes to me with questions about life. So there's a big difference. If you come to me with a question about your health, I will give you the best advice to get better. But if you come to me with life advice, I don't do that. I just switch off your response, and then you know what to do. You don't need me or anyone else to give you advice. You just know what to do automatically because I've switched off your trauma, because then you learn the right learnings.
Yeah.
So the only life advice I give is never make a decision in a fight and flight state.
Yeah.
Change the fight
Always
and flight
be the
state.
wrong decision.
Then you
Wrong
know
choice.
what to do.
Yeah.
So this client asked me this question, and I said, well, my advice is don't do that. Wait till we switch off the fight and flight state. She came back with another answer and said, okay, but I really feel I need to do this. So I just went, okay, do what you feel you need to do. When she actually came to me for a session, ironically, she decided not to do it. She'd realised that she'd be doing it for the wrong reasons, and she'd be doing it to for her benefit, not the other person's. And so that was fine. But it did make me chuckle. Initially, she messaged me, asked me my advice, and then when I gave it to her, she in the initial response, she ignored it. But the advice that she was given was by someone else who knew nothing about the mind or healing or therapy. They gave her this piece of advice because they'd done
the 12... you need to do some meditation, go drink some water, go for a walk. That's what I would do, love. I've been doing it for years. Well, manage it, just man up.
This was the 12 steps.
Cope with it.
This was the 12 steps they get alcoholics to do, things like that. Yeah. And one of it was to confront your past and confront people and go back to them and apologise and have a conversation with them. And unfortunately, this can actually
trigger loads of shit.
Trigger a load of shit off, yes.
Yeah.
If you've actually healed it and you've let it go, you're going to do one or two things. You're either just going to move on with your life, or you're going to feel a tuition to actually contact them and say something, and then it'll be okay. But if you're doing it from a place of being traumatized still, and you want forgiveness, or you want to tell them how you feel, that's the wrong reason to do it.
You're behaving and talking from the trauma or the experience. You're not actually talking from a place of neutrality or who you really are. You're now going to... And so generally, you can recreate if it was a violent situation, that could cause you all sorts of problems.
Well, it depends what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, this situation, it wasn't quite like that. But basically, she was almost doing hedonism because she was trying to do an action to give her a good feeling.
Yeah.
But that would have backfired on her because she was doing it out of trauma.
Yeah.
So again, she was trying to do something to make her feel good rather than just switch off the trauma. And this is what we're always saying. Please just switch off the trauma. It's so much easier. It really is much
easier. It's easier to live with it, John.
Well,
I'm all right. There's nothing wrong with me. I went to a wedding. My friend got married. My friend Gary.
Yeah.
Beautiful wedding. They've got like 14 acres of land, stables, a barn. It was an amazing. They had 3 bouncy castles in the back garden. And an inflatable bar, inflatable pub. They had loads of little gin vans. I mean, it's a huge place. It's lovely. It's a lovely place. But anyway, I got introduced to Gary's because obviously Gary's a friend of mine. I've helped him. I healed his wife of migraines. I've healed her daughter of anxiety from falling off a horse, and she's a really good show jumper. And she couldn't get back on a horse, and it was causing that. So I healed all that. So I've done all the. So he's like, you got to meet Steve. So he's introducing me to all these like well-to-do people in the horse community. Yeah, horse community, and yeah, exactly. So anyway, I got chatting to this woman. She was like, honestly, as soon as I turned, she goes, "That's exactly what I believe, but I've never been able to get." So anyway, she ended up talking to me for about 45 minutes. She was literally grilling me about every piece of information I knew, trying to ask me how this works, what causes this and that. And she's like she's quite high up in a school, and she wants to get me in her school to work with the kids. But anyway. And so anyway, she goes, you need to go and see my friend. And she told me about her friend suffering. So she introduced me to him, and she goes, oh, I hear you're the magic man. So I was like, well, yeah, maybe. And I said, what is it? What's going on? And she goes, oh, this is. I said, okay, so basically I'll be able to do this, and this, and I can get rid of all of that, and that. And I said, and pretty much you'll get back to having your life back. You won't have any of that stuff. You won't be in any of the guilt, the shame. You won't be needing to drink. You won't be needing to go out. You won't need to hedonize. You won't need to, go to the sport or spa and exercise, and you won't be miserable, and your relationship will get blah, 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 blah. And then she stood there. She went, well, she goes, yeah, no, thanks for that. She goes, but actually, I think I'm all right. So she goes, I don't think I need, actually, I think it's my daughter needs it more than I do. But no, I'll think about it. And I'm like, Do you know what I mean? So as soon as you talk to these people and find out that they've got loads and loads of stuff running, as soon as you give them a solution to it and an answer for them to be able to get better and heal, I find this all the time. The first thing is actually, do you know what? I'm actually okay. I'm all right. And so 90%, 95% of people always have that response.
Other people say to me,
that's what I did. That's
fantastic.
The point I'm saying that is because there's probably a lot of people that might watch this that are doing exactly the same thing. And what you're going to do, this brings it onto the hedonism, is what you're going to do is while you're carrying all that pain and all that suffering, when you're sitting at home or when you're in your car having an argument with your husband or when this happens or that happens and you're feeling really shit and really down or whatever, what you're going to do is you're going to, I feel really, really crap. And I don't like feeling really crap. So what can I do today that's going to make me not feel crap? Because the thing that's making you crap would be a trauma, an anxious response. It'll be a triggered response, an argument. It'll be something that somebody said. It might be a financial problem, whatever it is, right? So you're now feeling in a really crappy, shitty place. You could feel depressed, anxious. You could be suffering from PTSD. You could have loads of traumas, and then you might watch something on the TV that triggers you to feeling really crap, or you might be really pissed off with your life and nothing's working out for you, and you're feeling really, really crap. But instead of going to the thing that actually makes you feel really, really crap, what you're going to do is you're going to hedonize. So what you're going to do is go, oh, do you know what? I think I need to go to the spa today. And you'll chip off up to the spa and you'll sit there and you'll move away from this pain, and you're now taking proactive action to get away from this horrible feeling and sensation to this feel-good factor where you're now sitting in the spa and you've had your massage and you're doing all your stuff. But then what's going to happen is a temporary relief, and then you'll go back home and then you'll be back into this. And then the same thing's going to happen maybe the next day or 3 days later or a week later, and you're going to feel really, really shit. You go, oh, I feel really shit. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to the spa again. So you go back to the spa and have your massage. And you'll keep doing this, and this is what addictions. But what will happen is someone will ask them and go, well, you need to go and heal that. You go, no, I'm all right. When I feel like that, I go to the spa. So instead of removing the wound and removing the knife, you're going to keep the knife, feel the pain of the knife, go, I don't want to feel that pain, and go and find some pleasure to avoid pain, which is what hedonism is. It's seeking pleasure to avoid pain.
It's also what Mother Rice is.
Yeah, Mother Rice.
Apparently, if you use the advert.
Now, you might not have the money or not like spa. So what you're going to do is you're going to be sitting on your sofa and go, do you know what? I'm going to have a glass of wine and some chocolate. Or I might have a cake. Or I might, or blokes might go, I need to go down the pub and have a few beers. Oh, I need a drink. Oh, I've been really stressed. I need a drink. I need this glass of wine, right? Well, no, you don't. Again, that's hedonizing. Or, for example, you might go, do you know what? I actually feel really, really down and run down. I need to go for a walk. I need to be with nature. I need to go for a swim or pop down the gym. And what's going to happen is instead of actually going to the thing that's causing all of your pain and your suffering, what you're going to do is you're going to spend all your hard-earned money wasting it, carrying on doing your meditation class, your Pilates class, your yoga class, your spa, your let's go to the beach, let's go to Adventure Island, let's go and get more clients, need more clients, need more money, got to get more money, got to go out there, earn more money, because that's the answer. Money's the answer, which we've talked about isn't. It might mean that you need to go and like pop down and get some crystals. It might mean you need to go and walk along the seafront. It might mean you need to go away for a weekend to a nice hotel and get away. Or what we're going to do is go on 3 holidays or 4 holidays. Because what's actually going is, you really feel like shit. You don't want to feel like shit, so you need to do something. This is what hedonism is, and then also apply to drugs, drink, sex, and rock and roll. And depending on the sort of person you are, you'll choose any one of those things. So if you're not into the debauchery stuff, you're going to then go and do these lovely spas. You'll be bragging about it. Oh yeah, Sheila, I go to this lovely spa. It's lovely, and the people there are lovely. And you'll brag about this. I'm not saying it's okay to do those things if you want to do them. Right? It's when you're doing those things, when you're feeling in a bad place or something, if you're in a bad place or there's something that's running in you that's making you feel shit, crap, down, depressed, moody, angry, uptight, frustrated, unhappy, whatever. It's when we're in those states and we then start doing things to move from that state, that's when the problem arises. Because that's how addictions are formed. And once you've got an addiction, it's very difficult to break. And secondly, it's basically what you're going to do is you're going to keep maintaining the pain and the suffering in you rather than actually getting rid of it. So it's like I said all the time, instead of removing the knife, you're going to carry on with that knife and pretending that the knife's not there and it doesn't hurt anymore because you're strong and you're a mark and you just put it in boxes and you manage it and you deal with it and you can go and brag to everyone, you just need to man up and just deal with life and get on with it. Well, doing that doesn't work because every time you've got a knife in you, it's causing you pain, harm, injury, damage to your mental, physical, energetic and emotional body. It's going to cause you problems. And, I can tell you that because I know where I was 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse because I had that belief that I just need to keep getting up and powering through and then, and just manning up, just man up, power through, doesn't really affect me. It's all right. You just got to be tough. It's what life's all about. You have to take the hard knocks and get through and power through. And that's what I did. And that was what I did. And I was bloody good at it because I went through a lot of fucking shit, a lot of pain. But that's what I did. But ultimately, as I was doing that, I was getting further and further and further down to the point where I become an absolute broken wreck using that mentality. So I know that doesn't work. Am I waffling on a lot?
So in a nutshell, that's what hedonism is.
That's what hedonism is.
Now, for those of you who joined thinking hedonism is sex, and you've joined the wrong podcast, leave this one, ignore it, but give me a call on 0800 795 2463 and we'll have a chat about it.
Yeah. But that's what hedonism is. It's seeking pleasure to avoid pain, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And the problem is that people will always use hedonism as an excuse. Oh, no, but I'm just having fun. Now, if you are just doing it to have fun, that's fine. That's fine. That's what it is. But
if you enjoy going to Spa, because we actually enjoy going to Spa.
Yeah, I go to Spa. Yeah,
but it's just if it's a different driver behind it, then it was an emotional driver. You're doing it to, as Steve says, to get away from something. It's like an NLP. An NLP term is you're either moving towards something or you're moving away from something. And that hedonism, in that terms, is moving away from something, trying to move towards pleasure to get away from the pain.
Yeah.
Which we've all done. Never really.
Yeah,
works.
I did that a lot.
What are the comments we've had?
They're all from Ruben next door.
Oh, they're all from Ruben.
He just said he had a nosebleed, and he said I was on the Bounty Castle for a while and lost my dad for 6 hours. So when I was at my friend's wedding, honestly, it's huge. Honestly, it's massive. And anyway, I said, right, go on in. And there's a swing on the tree. So he met someone literally straight away. That was it. I lost him for 6 hours.
Brilliant.
And then when I left, I went looking for him. He was sweating up. He's on a massive trampoline. He's on a bounce castle. He had a nosebleed. He had a great time. It was really, really great. And So
good. Have you had any comments anywhere else?
No, not at all.
No. Everyone's quiet. They really did think it was all about sex. We've disappointed you, haven't you? We'll do a podcast on sex next time.
It says you two are definitely a couple.
Thank you. Who said that?
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I can't read the thread. But anyway, so Julie's watching as well. Hello, Julie.
Hey, Julie. How you going?
Yeah, great. So, so hedonism is not the right thing to do, and only do those things if you really, really want to. But again, this is where addictions are formed, and I don't believe there is a healthy addiction. I think all addictions are bad, whether they're good or bad. Because actually, when you're in an addictive state, you're actually moving away from something, and you're actually running a conflict, or you're running an issue, and you're running something in a fight and flight, which actually is going to make you sick because those neurotoxins that are in your brain that are created from fight and flight will dissolve and damage your cells, your tissue, your organs. So when we're in a fight and flight state, there's a neurotoxin or neurochemical that's formed in the memory that gets pumped into your blood, that goes to in your body, and that's what causes the organs to fail or to deteriorate over time. So is there a really healthy addiction? No, I don't think so, because you're in fight and flight. You might think that it's actually a healthy addiction, but internally, those neurotoxins are going to damage your organs and what makes us sick. I do want to talk about a lady that I had an emergency session yesterday morning, and it was a lady who wanted to. Funny enough, she wanted to call me, but because she knew I was away with Ruben, she just didn't. She goes, "Oh, I didn't want to phone you because you was away." And I'm like, if it's really important, if it's really urgent, then please phone me, right? Don't wait until I go home. But anyway, I spoke to her, and she had and I've been doing a lot of these lately. Funny enough, I think I'm getting a bit of a dab hand at it, but water bladder infection.
Okay.
Now I've had a lot of these in the last month. I think I've had 6. Don't quote me. It could be 5. So either 5, 6, or 7. But I have to think. I think
What
it's
territory issues going on?
6. So I've had 6 bladder and water infections, and so obviously that's to do with what they're eating, right? No. Right. So anyway, she rang me up yesterday. I did a session with her yesterday, and I actually cleared the whole thing in 40 minutes, which is really, really good. Now, for you ladies that are suffering with or do suffer from bladder or water infections, what will generally happen is that there will be a territory issue where you either can't mark your territory or somebody's coming into your territory that you do not want or wish for. There are other things that can cause it, but it will definitely be a territory issue, like you said. It'll be a territory issue.
Boundary issue. You can't mark your boundaries.
Can't mark your boundaries, and so and that might also see also a sexual case can do that as well.
Yes, because your body can be your boundary.
Yeah.
So if your body's being invaded in some way,
invaded, or someone is imposing on you. So if somebody imposes on you against your will, or things, or you're agreeing to something. So this was actually somebody agreeing to something against their will.
Yeah,
that was the thing, and that actually triggered the conflict. And I was able to navigate that, find out what it was, and then go, that's what it was, and switched off. And it only took about 40 minutes. But actually, water infection. Well, I found that the bladder and water infections are really quickly to heal in its entirety in about 40 minutes, and it will be a territory issue. And like I said, that was where she basically allowed somebody to actually tell her information that she didn't want to hear. So she didn't want to hear the information. She told that person, I don't want to hear it, but that person insisted in telling her, and then she then couldn't. That was coming in. That was in her territory. She didn't want to hear it. Caused the conflict, and that's what happened. There was also something else as well about going to the place. She was actually going. She had to go to this person's house. But before she went there, she didn't want to go. So again, she was going against, and so that's what happened. But once I found that and switched it all off, and it had some, and it was related to her mother as well. So it was hearing information about her mother, which should also be a territory thing. Yeah. And I switched that all off, and literally, she just basically went, no, it's all gone. All the pain's gone, right? And she had about 3 weeks, and it was all healed up. So I've done about 5 or 6 water infections or bladder infections or issues with women and clients over the last 6 to 8 weeks, actually. And I've got rid of them almost. They're really easy to. I found them really easy to.
As a general, they're a simple conflict to get rid of.
Yeah, simple conflict to get rid of.
I've had clients get rid of themselves once they knew the conflict was.
Yeah.
So,
so that's been. I just wanted to mention that because I know seems to be quite popular. I don't know whether I'm attracting people, but
there's a lot of territory issues at the moment in the world, aren't there? So a lot of territory issues happening right now. Yeah,
and I also think as well people's behaviours as well. I mean, like I said, I've done that post earlier on to try and get people to recognise that they're doing those behaviours unconsciously, thinking it's okay, and it's not okay. You shouldn't really be behaving that way, and all of those will create territory issues.
Yes,
all of those will create territory issues, and all of those, if you're behaving like those 10 things I put, if you're doing any of those behaviours to your children, your partner, your friends, your work colleagues, whatever, you're actually causing those people problems. So I think it's a little bit selfish and a little bit arrogant and ignorant and whatever other words I can think of to actually go around masquerading as being this person, knowing that actually that those behaviours or doing that actually affects other people and not doing anything to change it. And I think if more people actually did more of the work and actually did some of the work, the world would be a better place. Your kids, your children would be in a much better environment. The world would be a kinder place to live. We wouldn't have so much shit and crap on our TV, and basically the whole world would function in a lot better. It'd be a lot safer place to live. But unfortunately, we've got this belief that we need to be hard and negative and selfish and arrogant and rude because somehow that gives us a sense of authority or power or control. Actually, it doesn't really. It does quite the opposite, really. It just proves that, just makes you that sort of person. And then you're probably laying in bed going, oh, I've got no friends and my life isn't working for me. Well, stop behaving like that then. Stop doing those 10 behaviours. And if you stop doing those 10 behaviours, then maybe your life might work for you. You might have nicer people in your life and you won't have people stealing your stuff and blah, blah, blah. So, Anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else on hedonism?
Anything to say on hedonism? No, not really. I don't think so. I just think we need to, it's just really, if you're finding yourself being addicted or needing to do something, then there's an issue that's causing it. And all of those things can stop, you know. The problem is people love their hedonism. They enjoy their gratification.
Well, all enjoy a bit of gratification.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I get. I'm not saying that.
No, I know you don't. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
No,
so they enjoy their gratification.
If you're doing something that you can't stop doing, then you're addicted, which means it's
There's
not
a problem.
Healthy. There's a problem there.
Yeah.
So that's not healthy.
Yeah.
But
people pleasing or not, you know, it's.
But having said that, we are all men and women.
Human,
we're all trying to do our best. So we're not saying try and be perfect. We're just trying to point these things out so maybe you can recognize it, because being aware is half the battle. But being aware of the right thing, as I said earlier on, be aware of what's the right thing, not something that's going to get you stuck, like Steve's client, where her therapist was telling her something that was false, so it's kept her stuck. Because that's nothing to do with them. It's what they've been taught. Again, they've been taught that. One of the things I say about DTO is DTO is about unlearning things, not about learning more things.
Yeah.
So needing to understand why it's there or what the problem is. You're just learning more shit in your head. DTO is about unlearning everything, and once you unlearn, then you start to be calmer, more peaceful, more relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like So what are we doing next time?
I don't know.
Do you want to say one thing? Something's interesting. Me and Steve have both noticed this recently. Just an aside. There's been a couple of articles recently that have popped up on our screens talking about depression and Alzheimer's and how the original data and where they got their theory from. So the original articles and data that they got their theory from has actually now been proved false.
Yeah.
So with depression, where they say it's a chemical imbalance, they're now saying that the data they took to prove that some of the information was fraudulent and false, and so it's misled scientists for years. Hallelujah!
I know, isn't it?
Praise be. God bless us, everyone.
But you must trust those people that they're educated. They've done 7 years at university. They're trained. They know a lot more than you. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy. Do you want to buy any drugs?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is
they're free from a prescription.
There's a tide turning. So there's a tide turning in the world where we're going to learn more information soon about what's really causing problems. We're going to learn that the information we were taught was false.
Yeah, or you could just watch us and find information in the first place. You can do
that too. Not that I'm always right, but you can do that too.
Yeah.
And what?
Well, if we don't know, we'll always find out.
I've
got a whole encyclopedia in there of conflicts. It tells you what causes what.
Oh, I know you're doing good like that. You write a book soon.
I will write a book soon.
So no, but it's important because
62 podcasts with Jonathan Shaw.
Exactly, yeah. That'd be a really long book, wouldn't it? That'd be an encyclopedia.
Yeah, it would be.
So no, there is a tide turning where we're gonna see that the old information that you've been taught in mainstream is now going to be proved false, and you're going to learn some new things coming out. So stay aware.
We did say this a year ago. It's all going to come out.
It's all going to come out.
Yeah, bloody, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, I don't agree with you. You're COVID, all that shit. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
It is all coming out. But it's really interesting to see that these two articles about mental health, they're now starting to see that the where they got their theory from, the information they got it from was actually fraudulent, and they actually used the word fraudulent. Somebody actually made that data up, or they frauded that data. It wasn't just an accident. So I didn't read the article. I read the headline, in all fairness, but then Steve saw it as well. So there's a few things like that happening, which is very interesting. So
I've got to say as well, this was great. So I've got an auntie who lives out in Spain, and she watches our podcast. I know she'll probably watch this tomorrow. So hey, how you doing? But she messaged me earlier on today. It was so good. It sort of made my day a little bit. But anyway, she messaged me. Well, hi, Steve. Just to let you know, we watched this program on Channel 4 called Undeclared War. And I was like, have you seen it? And she goes, oh, I've stopped watching TV 3 years ago since you told me about TV. I'm like, yeah, I haven't watched it for 5 years because it's all really bad for you. You don't realise how bad watching telly is. But people love it because they can just sit there and go and hypnotise and stare at a screen and just switch off. But anyway, she said, so I watched this Undeclared War and everything. And there's a program about fake TV and how they do it. And she goes, and it's really opened mine and Tony's eyes. And it talks about, or it was doing everything that you said what you talk about on your podcasts. So I'm like really pleased now that all of the stuff that I've been talking about for the last 2 years is now coming out on TV and being proven. Everything I said about the NLP, the programming, the unconscious programming, the hypnotizing, the whole stuff, and why you're so angry with people was probably because you've watched some shit on telly and you've got a load of stuff running and you don't even know that they've planted it in there. Really, really dangerous with television if you actually really know the inner workings of how it actually works and how technically the TV sticks you into a state of hypnosis and just literally just fills your head up with whatever they want you to do, and you've got no power and control over it because you're sitting there eating your Wotsits and drinking your wine and staring at the screen and not realizing that they're unconsciously programming you to believe in all sorts of crap that they want you to believe and act in a certain way. It's MK Ultra. I don't know if you know about MK Ultra, but MK Ultra is where it goes back to the round about late 40s and 50s, but it was all about mind control and how they basically can literally program you to be a certain way without you realizing it, and then at a flick of a switch you'll act and behave in a certain way without you even realizing that you do it.
Well, they've done TV shows like that where they've hypnotized someone.
Darren Brown
they just said a word to trigger them into the state.
Absolutely.
And then they will act and behave in certain ways. I mean, I used to watch 80s TV shows like MacGyver, and there was a great episode of MacGyver where the good guy was hypnotized. And he kept talking to MacGyver like he'd been on this holiday and this vacation. It was like the best time in the world. Met this beautiful girl, but really, it was a story that he implanted. He was being hypnotized to assassinate someone. They were kind of telling you in the TV show that this is going on, and it does go on. I will just ask if anybody is out there eating Wotsits with wine. Can you let me know? Because I think that's hysterical. Yeah. Because not that I drink wine, I love Wotsits, but I'm not really sure those two things go together. But if anyone's actually eating Wotsits with wine, that'd be brilliant.
Wotsits and red wine.
Yeah, do they go together?
I only said Wotsits because I saw them over there.
Oh, is that why? That's a really strange thing to put together. Wotsits and wine.
There's no wine over there, but there is Wotsits.
Oh, that's
most people sitting on their sofa drinking wine every night, getting really, really pissed, going, right, do you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to change my life. And I'll go and do the same thing over and over and over again. And I go back and I come home from work and I go, oh, I need a drink. And I'll have a glass of wine and they'll sit and stare at the TV like that, dribbling, watching their favourite programmes. Go, oh, tomorrow I'm going to change my life. And they do it all again. And they'll just keep doing it over and over and over again, waiting for some magical day when they're going to wake up and the whole world's changed and everything's going to change in their life.
Which will be happening soon. Yeah. As soon as we get rid of the cabal.
I know.
Which is nearly down. But yes,
one day. Now, tomorrow it's going to happen. Tomorrow I'm just going to wake up and then all of a sudden it's just all going to fall into place.
Yes.
It's all just going to fall into place. Everything's going to, do you know what? Everything's going to fall into place. But in the meantime, I'm going to carry on watching TV and drinking me wine and eating me lasagna out of a cardboard box. And eating chocolate. Yeah. Loads of chocolate.
Love a bit of chocolate.
You love a bit of chocolate.
Yes.
TV. Yeah. Actually, I'm talking about you, really, aren't I?
You are talking about me. I love a bit of TV. I love a bit of chocolate. Wow, I must be a hedonist. I don't know.
You are a hedonizer.
I'm a hedonizer. Yeah. Am I? Okay.
Yeah. You've got two types of people. You've got creators.
Yes.
And you've got consumers.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Creators and consumers.
Yeah.
People that create ain't got time to sit there stuffing chocolate in their mouth and wine. They're too busy making music or doing things or creating something good for their life, their family, or whatever. Right. Consumers are the ones that just sit there and have loads of opinions and judge everything and just take and just consume, whether it's food, information, the internet, stuff on Facebook, the TV, chocolate, more chocolate. And then they go to bed and they wake up and they consume more stuff, they consume more information, and they consume their lunch and consume.
I'm going to have to seek out therapy for that. So, yes.
And making a massive contribution to the world and society as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got creators and consumers.
Okay, yes.
All right. And the creators are the ones that keep all the consumers down here because it's been created that way.
Yes.
The creators create that to keep you spending all your money, buying all of this stuff, hedonizing, and they get rich off of your hedonizing.
Yes.
They take you work really hard to sit there and just consume, and the people that actually create all of that, the creators, are the ones that benefit. So maybe, ladies and gentlemen, just as a little bit of a change in paradigm, why don't we, instead of being a consumer, why don't you become a creator? Why don't you become a creator and start changing, turning the tables on the way things are? Because you've got the power. Everyone's got the power. Everyone's skilled, smart, intelligent. You just don't think you are. And just change your mindset. No, I'm just just thought I'd say that. A little bit of a vote, Stephen, in the next election.
They're going to vote Stephen. You're going to be the next MP?
No.
Oh, you're the next
Can you
election.
imagine, mate? I'll literally rip the shit out of them.
You just
Call them all frauds, for starters.
Well, yeah.
Frauds and liars.
That would
Can you show me the proof, please,
true.
of your tests?
Yeah.
These tests that you're making, everyone say, can you show me the proof that they work and actually the fact that you've got the proof you've actually isolated this thing to find the test working? Can you show me that, please? No, you can't, because you're all a bunch of fraudulent lying bastards. So there you go. I'll get chucked out of the House of the Commons. Order!
I was going to say, well, it'd make an interesting House of Commons, wouldn't it? It'd be, yes.
I mean, I'm not a liar, so I don't think I'm going to fit in there.
No, maybe not.
Do you know what I mean? It don't really work, does it?
I don't think you'll fit in politics. No, I don't think.
No, you can't have someone telling the truth.
No,
or not on the news or on the current affairs show.
No,
you've got to avoid the question. Go, but actually, my right honourable friend, the Labour program is absolutely wrong. We've invested loads of money, and jobs have gone down, and employment's gone down, and we've got more people now working for us than ever before. And fuck off, mate. Yeah. And do you know what? People watch that shit all the time, year after year after year after year after year after, and still fall for it.
Oh, I know, yeah.
They still fall for it. They've been watching it for 30 years. And what they'll do is they'll have an opinion. They'll go, yeah, I know, but the last bloke, I mean, he had this. And I think actually he's right about that. They don't think, hang on a minute, what about the 17 people before that you watched that said all the same shit, that didn't do anything that they said we're going to do? And now, but this one person, because he's on TV now, he's right, and he is actually going to do it, and then he won't do it, and in another 2 years' time, there'll be another person. The people that watch this shit on the TV and the current affairs and have experts and their analysis go, do you know what? I think this is right. This geezer's right. They never ever seem to remember that the 17 or 18 or the 17,000 MPs before them completely pulled the wool over their eyes, lied out their ass, and yet they still haven't. These people are intelligent, by the way. These are intelligent people. These are intelligent people who sit and watch the news and have a good understanding of world politics and what's going on in the world. Haven't quite worked out. They've been had over and fucked over consistently their whole life by liars, thieves, and corrupt people, and yet they still believe them and think that somehow that these people, it's just all of a sudden this new person is going to magically change the way that we all live in the UK, and it's all going to be happy ever after. Well done, everybody.
But that is about to change, so stay tuned for that too. Next year,
I won't be watching it. I can tell you that much.
You will when it starts changing. It'll be brilliant. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
These change in America first before it comes over here, but it will change.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you very much, everybody. Well, on that note,
is it?
I think on that note, I think we should.
Get off my soapbox.
No, that's fine. I thought it was on a new school.
It's just so blatantly obvious for me. I'm just like,
really?
Really? Come on, people. Snap out of it.
I know, they are slaves. But they're waking up gradually. So on that note.
On that note.
Do we know what we're doing next time?
I don't think we do know what we're doing, no.
If you have any questions or if you have any want us to talk about, then let us know.
Right.
Hello, how you doing? Got Rosie back in the room.
So thank you very much for joining, everybody. We appreciate that. And it's been a while. That's partly my fault because I've been doing a lot of live stuff. But we'll be back shortly with another podcast. We're not sure when or what it's about yet, but if you have anything you want to know, just drop us a message and we might do a podcast on that.
Yeah, probably in a couple of weeks' time, I think.
Yeah,
he goes back on the 16th, so it'll probably be the Sunday after that if you're free.
Yeah.
Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening, and hopefully you'll understand all about hedonizing and actually that you have got stuff that needs to be healing, and healing is possible. And don't carry around unnecessary pain and suffering because you don't need to.
No.
Right. Okay. We'll see you in a fortnight's time. My name's been Stephen Jakes. You can find me on healingthemind.co.uk, or you can find John on thedtosystem.com. Other than that, we'll see you in a fortnight. Have a safe journey home, Jonathan. And we'll see you soon. Take care,
guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.